Welcome to your OSHA mandatory training for emergency action plans. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, requires your employer to provide you with a safe environment to work. In the event an emergency situation arises, your employer may be required to have an emergency action plan that describes how you are expected to react. If the plan is required, you must be trained in the plan, which lists emergency contacts and procedures like reporting fires or other emergencies, evacuations, and rescue or medical operations. Emergencies can create a variety of hazards for you in the impacted area. Preparation plays a critical role in ensuring you have the necessary equipment, know where to go, and are aware of how to keep yourself safe when an emergency occurs. This training is designed to help you adequately prepare for and appropriately respond to emergency situations in the workplace. After completing this class, you will be able to describe the various types of emergency situations you may encounter and how to prepare for them, explain the importance of an employer's written emergency action plan, and discuss appropriate ways to react to emergencies. In simple terms, emergency preparedness means anticipating and preparing for potential dangers. Your workplace emergency preparedness involves three key steps: recognizing various types of emergencies, understanding your employer's emergency action plan, and participating actively in your employer's training and practice drills. For any organization, emergency preparedness involves all employees. Natural disasters are naturally occurring events that may cause serious destruction and injury or loss of life. They are the result of some forces of nature, such as droughts, earthquakes, floods, landslides, wildfires, tsunamis, hurricanes, avalanches, volcanoes, eruptions, and even tornadoes. Severe weather refers to any dangerous changes in the climate that may cause significant social disruption or damage to property. Examples of severe weather include thunderstorms, high winds, blizzards, ice storms, extreme heat, or extreme cold. According to the National Weather Service, 522 fatalities and 2,143 casualties were reported in 2015 due to severe weather conditions. Total damage amounts to almost $5 billion in that 1 year. A chemical spill occurs when a hazardous substance is accidentally released during transportation, storage, or use. Spills can be categorized in two types: incidental release and emergency releases. Incidental releases of a hazardous substance that can be absorbed, neutralized, or controlled at the time by associates in the immediate area. These releases do not pose a significant safety or health hazard. They tend to be very limited in quantity and carry a low risk of exposure and/or toxicity. Incidental releases can normally be cleaned up safely in accordance with the Substances Safety Data Sheet, or SDS, and proper personal protective equipment and training, without the assistance of emergency response personnel. Emergency releases cannot be controlled by area associates. They are uncontrolled or likely to result in an uncontrolled release, and emergency responders from outside the immediate area are needed. Examples of emergency releases include those that require associates to evacuate, pose conditions that are a danger to health and life, pose a fire or explosion threat, or involve high levels of exposure to toxic substances. Workplace accidents can occur due to a variety of reasons, including factors in the workplace setting, heightened risks associated with completing a particular task, a lack of training, or even human error or negligence. Many workplace accidents require first aid or medical attention. Slips, trips, and falls are some of the most common causes of workplace accidents. The potential injuries you may encounter from a slip or a trip include concussions, dislocations, sprains, strains, bruises, contusions, fractures, abrasions, lacerations, and even impalement. A fire is made possible by four components: oxygen, heat, or another ignition source, fuel, and a chemical chain reaction. Without each of these four elements, a fire cannot begin or continue. In a typical workplace, a fire could start from any number of potential sources of heat or ignition, including things like an electrical source, welding sparks, or smoking, just to name a few. Oxygen is found in the workplace air. Chemical spills, trash, or gas leaks may fuel a fire. Over a recent 5-year period, the National Fire Protection Association, the NFPA, documented almost 43,000 reported fires at industrial and manufacturing facilities. These fires cost U.S. employers over $900 million. In addition, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the BLS, estimates the workplace fires and explosions caused an average of 161 deaths annually in the U.S. An active threat occurs when a person or group of people deliberately create an immediate threat or present an immediate danger. Active threats can include situations involving an active shooter, sniper, bomb, terrorist threat, and/or hostage situation. The most common active threat is the active shooter situation. A 2014 Federal Bureau of Investigations, or FBI, study identified 160 active shooter incidents in the U.S. from 2000 to 2013 that killed or wounded 1,043 people. Almost half of those involved ended in death. This is where TMHOH puts together a plan that will make for the best possible outcomes in most situations. It is the law, but it's also a priority of those that make the policies here at TMHOH to make the workplace as safe as possible for the good of all the associates employed at each branch and those that travel to and from each location. An Emergency Action Plan, or EAP, is a written document or oral instruction to help associates understand the correct way to respond to an emergency. It also provides instruction for the successful evacuation of the facilities and what should be done in the event of an emergency. According to OSHA, many employers are required to have an EAP and review it with each associate when you were initially assigned to your job, when the associate's responsibilities or designated actions under the plan change, or when the plan changes. If you are unsure if you know the plan for your facility, you should make all efforts to understand them. It could save yours or your coworker's life. Remember, regret is one of the few feelings that time cannot heal. An EAP should address all possible emergency situations. If required, OSHA mandates that an EAP includes the following minimum elements: method for reporting a fire or other emergency, procedures for emergency evacuation, including exit route assignments, procedures for employees who remain to operate critical operations before they evacuate, such as closing all bay doors, procedures to account for all employees after evacuation, procedures for employees performing rescue or medical duties, name or job titles of individuals to contact for more information about the plan or an explanation of duties under the plan. In-depth training is not required, except for individuals responsible for assisting with evacuations. All other associates will review the EAP with the employer. During the training sessions, you may learn about the various types of emergencies which might occur in our organization and how you should respond to them, including evacuation or shelter-in-place procedures. During your training, you will receive information regarding your employer's emergency contacts. Your training should also cover any hazardous substances you may encounter while at work, including where to find the SDS and what to do in the event of a chemical spill. Practice drills are conducted at regular intervals and whenever any procedure changes. These drills will help reiterate what to do and where to go in emergency situations. All associates should participate in these drills and mentally prepare for these events should they arise. Emergencies can occur at any time and without warning. The better you are prepared, the better will be your chance for surviving any situation. When an emergency situation arises, don't panic. Although emergencies require rapid action, the most important factor in effectively handling the situation is to remain calm. Next, follow the instructions you were given in TMHOH's EAP. Determine the nature of the emergency and follow the plan through. Each emergency situation is going to be different, but at minimum, be sure you know how to report fires, spills, and other emergencies as instructed by TMHOH's EAP, the route you are assigned to take during a branch evacuation, who to ask for information. These are all important things to know. When it comes to emergencies, effective communication is critical. There are two types of communication, internal and external. Internal communication involves transmitting information among all associates, even those that may be in a part of the building with no or poor intercom systems. TMHOH has proactive internal communications, such as marking exit signs, displaying workplace safety signs, visually identifying first aid locations, and egress maps, to name a few. On the other hand, some of their reactive internal communications efforts may include announcing emergencies over the intercom. TMHOH's external communication strategy includes procedures for initiating help for external responders. This can include reaching out to request police officers, an ambulance, a fire truck, first responders, or help with spills. It is up to you to understand these expectations for when you should personally call for outside help. If you do end up calling 911, be sure to provide all the information necessary for them to arrange for assistance, but keep the message short and clear. Depending on the type of emergency you experience, external communication may also include reporting the incident to utility companies or, in some cases, the appropriate government agencies. Typically, the employer will designate individuals to handle these types of external communications. In case of a medical emergency, if you are not a designated or trained first aid provider, the first step in getting someone the medical assistance that they need is to call for help. Be sure you know where the telephones are located and what number to call in the event of a medical emergency. Your second priority, once help is on the way, is to protect yourself and your coworkers. Remember to treat all blood and bodily fluid as if it's infected, and never offer assistance without proper training and personal protective equipment, even where first aid kits are readily available. Stay with the injured person and then step aside as soon as a qualified responder, like an emergency medical technician, instructs you to. Stop caring for the injured. For instance, if you are performing CPR, please continue until instructed to stop so they can take over. This instruction was designed to help you adequately prepare for and appropriately respond to emergency situations in the workplace. You should now be able to describe the various types of emergency situations you may encounter and how to prepare for them, explain the importance of a written emergency action plan, and discuss appropriate ways to react to emergencies. Remember, no matter what the emergency is, no amount of training can protect you if you are not prepared to use it. This concludes your OSHA mandated training for emergency action plans. Thank you and have a safe day, every day, all day.